Hello and welcome. Hi, everybody. Today, a bit of a
Hello.
different stream. Today, I have Arockia and Santiago with me. Hey, guys.
Hi, Andreas.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey.
Santiago.
So, we call this Breakfast Club because it's early morning for Santiago, and for us here in Europe, it's also still the morning. I was actually thinking we could have also called this something like a brunch or data brunch or something. So, I thought let's chat about the future of data engineering, guys, because in our last coaching meeting where we talked about the students and what's going on, I was talking a bit about my views on where data engineering is going. And yeah, we thought it's a good thing to post this or to do this live stream here. For everybody who doesn't know Arockia and Santiago, they are helping me with the coaching. They are your other coaches. Okay, you're Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I'm always mixing this up.
Yeah, I'm actually doing on Wednesday evenings.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
And Santiago is on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm doing Friday sessions. Yeah, so let's chat about this. Whenever you have questions, guys, put them in the chat. We're going to answer them. I want to have this a free discussion so that we just spend some time. Maybe I kick this off with how we actually got to this. I was saying in our last meeting that I don't think data modeling is really needed with the whole AI hype. And because I've been trying it, I've been preparing some stuff for students. And like it was a larger data set, 250 columns. And I just dropped it into ChatGPT, said, give me the relational data model, and it dropped out a relational data model. I said, give me a star schema for the dimensional model. Boom. And I was thinking, like, this is too easy. What if I want to have a document store? I said, give me the schema for MongoDB. Boom. Got a JSON schema. Right. So, yeah, that's my view on. I think it's a bit overrated, but I think you guys, you have a bit of a different view on this.
Yeah, Andreas. Of course, it reduces a lot of our work in the beginning. So before this ChatGPT and other AI tools, we just do some kind of whiteboard modeling. Learn a lot of theories out there in internet and do it on our own. Now the time it got reduced, so as you told, we just ask ChatGPT or Claude or Grok just to do the modeling, and then but of course I believe that we need to check everything it creates, because it is really sometimes it's not 100% right, but it also generates some kind of so to say models with mistakes and so on. And also in real life, in the projects or in the companies, we don't want to give our data or our data structure to train the models. So that yeah, that is the point also we should consider when
I,
using AI.
I think, like, I don't know, Santiago, what do you think about this?
Yeah, actually, I kind of agree with both because I have some companies I have been working on. They have like this ChatGPT Enterprise, so you can share some data with the models, and you can kind of play in a ping pong game with some questions and answers. But uh, I must say that since I was using ChatGPT till now, it's getting better and better. Anyway, I still kind of don't trust in AI, so it's like I need to review, and sometimes it takes me like twice the time because I'm just playing around with the models and try to change between the different flavors we have. And but then I need to review that again, so it's kind of peer review with ChatGPT or Anthropic or whatever,
Mm,
and and I still find some silly bugs when you have these long conversations, and sometimes you get stuck in this loop of I know this piece of code is right, and it keeps still like changing again and again and again.
true.
So you need to go back again to the fundamentals and to know how to like write your code. So it's sometimes it's really good. For example, I use a lot ChatGPT or Anthropic for testing when I have my code in production and I know that it's doing what I need the code to do. Uh, but yeah, it's a balance between time and reviewing the code for from AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like two things. First of all, yes, you need to have the fundamentals, right? It's you need to understand the fundamentals. I just think you don't need to like practice and practice and practice and practice and practice as long as you understand the fundamentals and at some point then understand is it doing the right thing or is it doing the wrong thing. I think this is going to change. And also with the sharing the data, like when you see the models that you can deploy within the company that are not ChatGPT, they are getting better and better and better all the time, right? When you look at the current Mistral models and so on, they are so strong. So I can see that, and I know from a bunch of large corporations that they for over a year now they have their own Chat GPT in house that they use. So the large organizations are very quick to implement this, and so these kind of simple work, I think this kind of simple data modeling work, there will be a lot of help from ChatGPT.
Yeah, in this case, I would like to point out this AI agents. So recently, in one of my projects, I got to play around with AI agents. So we have this data lake
Mm.
where we have this, this business layer after like a raw and refined layer. So we use this AI agent. We use the base model. You can use either, for example, we used Bedrock here, Bedrock from AWS,
Mm.
and we had this like base LLMs, like you can use Anthropic or from like AWS Nova models, and we just gave the input about our data models to this AI, to this agent. So we have these many tables, so these are all the columns and data types. So it was like like literally like very nice to see the results that you can ask questions to your agent, and then your agent will like run, it will create SQL queries
Mm.
on Athena. It will execute and it will bring back the results.
Mm.
So yeah, this was not possible maybe 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago. So now it's really like evident, because 2 or 3 years ago there was discussions like, yeah, it would be nice you have to have such kind of system where you ask questions in natural language and it brings back the results. And now we are in the phase of realizing it. So
Yeah.
one thing is we are this AI agent, and other thing is with this MCP servers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
With the MCP service and the AI, I know. Let's get to that in a sec. I feel like, for me, it feels like there's a bit of an hype right now. Everybody's talking about agents and so on. So I don't know, like what you're describing, is that really an agent or is that more of a
Yeah,
chat
yeah.
system?
No, it's not a chat. It's not a chat, because because it's like agent. So what it does is like either you can connect this agent with a Lambda function,
Okay.
or with an API. Uh, so this agent works like autonomously to decide based on the user's question. So either it should like use the Lambda function, or it should send request to the API gateway
Okay.
to fetch the data it needs. So
Okay.
it's not just a chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Um, let's quickly see a few questions here. Because there are already questions. Do you think the future leans more towards AI engineering or data engineers? I don't know about you guys. I always feel like the definition is quite weak of what is an AI engineer or data engineer. Like, what do you think, Santiago?
Yeah, for me it's like a rebranding every every day. It's like definitely it's going to be rebranding next years for, I don't know, ancient engineering. But definitely is something like that, because I mean, I'm come from a completely different ground. To I migrate from medicine to engineering, and I think from my point of view it's all back end with different names. It's like understanding what is happening under the hood, and then you can put the name that you want, and try to be like, yeah, be in the market, and be with these trending topic names. It doesn't matter, and in the next 2 years is going to be namely different, so it doesn't matter.
What do you think, Roka, about these
Yeah,
two?
here I'm
Yeah.
staying with one of the comments from Susan Walsh. You can't have AI without data. So I am like rooting for data engineers.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like Santiago says it's a lot of rebranding.
Yep.
But the main thing is, like, as engineers, you just have to add these kind of things to your skill set, right? I was thinking a bit, and I have a few plans where we go with the coaching, and we were talking. I was telling you this about as well, like that we go a bit more, or tell people more that this is full stack. This is not just working on some platforms. This is from understanding the basically the goals, from building the or designing the platform, designing the pipelines, building it, and then running it. And I think from that point, or from that standpoint, you have to then know more things, right? You have to then get more into the AI topics, that you can also develop this, that you can also deploy this. So it's basically another layer, I think, on top of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing uh, I'm aware of is like, we are already into uh, the tech world. We are like reading and learning a lot about AI, and I think that that's enough to be updated, and to play around with models is the place where we should be right now, and to have knowledge about that, because I believe it's my own point of view, but this AI is going to be more into tech now and forever. AI comes to be with us, and the right path is just to be aware of the tools that help us every day, coding or reviewing, or like taking advantage of that, and that's the way of keeping up to date, and be like saving your place, like I believe is that is the way of doing things right now. It's a new paradigm, and we have to learn about, and play with it.
Yeah, yeah. Here I completely agree with Santiago because I also feel like AI is just another tool. Because when I started my career, like 12 years ago in India, so like every data engineers, yeah, at that time we don't have the role called data engineers. It is something like database developers or data developers. So like everyone were like they are like experts in SQL, the seniors, but they don't know anything beyond that. So like data engineers, they know only SQL. So if you see the past like 6 or 7 years, so I actually feel like we are moving somewhat in the direction of software engineering, where we write code to provision infrastructure, where we implement testing and so on. And also, if you see closely the last couple of years, tools like, this stuff Iceberg and then DuckDB, yeah, I would say these are all kind of revolutionary tools, which makes our life easier. I also see like AI in the similar way. It is just another tool that will help data engineers. uh, yeah, I don't literally see AI taking over data engineering jobs, because I see like huge or like a lot of discussions online and people are panicking AI is going to take data engineering roles. So, like, I'm optimistic. No, it's never going
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah, it's also, and I think I wrote down here what Santiago said, like taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And we need to realize that it's here, it's going to stay, but it's not going to like take everything away. There are certain things where it is very good. Just like I said, with data modeling as the first example. If you have a simple data model, it's simple to like, you don't spend any time going through everything. You just put it in, it's going to give you the output, and then you're going to check, okay, does it make sense? But as a like an end-to-end solution, it's not it,
Yeah.
for now. It's not going to be. So you need to understand where can I use it, and where yeah, where do I leverage
And
it the
also,
most?
another point is about you mentioned the end to end, but also the data maturity of the place you are working on, because sometimes it's super helpful to have AI because it's some tweaks about, I don't know, a pipeline that is not well optimized or is not well tested. So it helps, but when you need to build everything from scratch, when the data maturity is near to zero, it's difficult. It's super difficult because you have to do a lot of research. You have to uh, like yeah, I mean the data maturity is another good point for understanding where AI is going to be helpful or not.
Yeah, true. Because also think it's because everybody's just looking at the US and is looking at the big tech companies and how far they are, but most companies, they're just at
Yeah,
the beginning.
definitely, definitely. Or they have a lot of data, but is useless,
Mm.
or it doesn't like go towards some KPIs for business value. So uh, you need to have a real workaround in that. And I'm always laugh because here in my town, it's a small town, but we have a huge supermarket brand, and they still use Facebook pages. You know, they don't have their own website, they don't
Mm.
have anything. So I mean, probably they have a lot of data. They know how to work with prices. I know they are good with that, but uh, I don't think they have a team of data analysts, data engineers, or data scientists. And I believe they collect data, but that is the only thing that they are doing. You know, perhaps they have some spreadsheets or or something like that under the hood. Like
Yeah,
everything comes into a spreadsheet. But yeah,
I remember back in the day. How long is this ago? Like 10 years, something. It's no, it's less than 10 years, where we try to get data from machines. Right? We were looking for predictive maintenance, and we were trying to get data from machines, and people were telling us, yeah, 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 these machines are generating data. You can have it, and like in what format is it? It's in an Access database. Yeah, okay. Shit. So the maturity of the company in terms of data is a big topic. Um,
that-
yeah, I'm going to what uh, what comments do we have here? Because I saw a few. what sort of automation can we expect in data engineering with the use of AI? Like, what do you think, guys?
Wow, it's a good question. Now, uh, perhaps this uh, you have different type of pipelines. I'm thinking about the easiest one. For example, this one that you can do in drag and drops tooling right now, like data fusion, low code. These these pipelines, I believe they are going to be fully automated,
Mm.
or some um, kind of repetitions between like social media data, that you have these kind of connectors, and they usually are just the same. You have to enter an API key and just connect and retrieve the data. I think these pipelines are going to be easily automated by AI. But again, there are a lot of things that aren't to be like super straightforward, and you will need to review and have knowledge to what is happening, and perhaps why this pipeline is not getting the data that you need. So
Mm.
it's going to be a mixture, I believe.
Yeah. What do you think, Aroka?
Yeah, I actually see already lot of automations that is happening in the reporting end or in the business intelligence end. So, for example, recently, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, Amazon announced this new scenario capability in QuickSight. Yeah, so its caption is like, "Be your own data analyst." So it's already happening. I had my hands on over that, and it's like really working. You can pass some, like, ad hoc questions, and it is generating perfect numbers. It is using the inbuilt spice engine of the this quick site,
Mm.
and it is like drawing graphs, charts, and so on. It's working perfectly. So I hope this automation will happen initially, something like self-service BI and so on. From data engineering perspective, I see the first thing will be happening will be automation of tests,
Mm.
because I feel that is kind of low hanging fruit in terms of AI automation in the data engineering like domain. Yeah. So other than that, yeah, we need always human touch or involvement in all the phases of
Yeah.
building data pipelines. Yeah, something like maybe infrastructure provisioning can be automated, but still it's not 100% in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge path for that in the future, long way we still need to cover. But yeah, tests and reporting, I see it's going to be in the near future, like would be automated with AI.
Yeah. I feel like with reporting, like I've done last year, I done a video on, oh man, what was that platform? Zenlytic, I think was it, where they also were doing like, you had your BI tool and you were doing just basically asking the BI tool questions and it was delivering you the results. But I feel like these kind of things, I'm not sure how, like, what's the right word here? Like how much people trust this. Because if you have a BI tool and you have the columns and you click the stuff together and it's very deterministic and you know, okay, the result will be the result, right? If you do it with AI, you know how AI is. Sometimes it's just like it messes up. Like how much can you then trust that report, right?
Yeah, Andreas, this is where the AI agents come into play. As we discussed about AI agents, so in like Bedrock, for example, you can trace like all the steps. You
Mm.
can actually like indirectly manipulate the traces or like agents how it should perform in certain conditions. So you can literally like direct this like agent,
Mm.
or like you can track the steps to monitor this kind of like deterministic actions. Like, yeah,
Okay.
we just want to make sure that the numbers are right, because this is how this can be implemented in companies. Otherwise, just passing with plain base models does not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm I'm letting myself convince if I see good stuff. Also, I think what you said with the testing, I also think that is the thing. I was thinking about testing and evaluation. I've done a video on YouTube with about Arado, and I had someone on from Arado lately, and they were basically testing, they have a tool where you can test your AI models, right? So and your processes that you get the right results. And I think that is something, especially also the evaluation part, where when it becomes less deterministic what the output is, you need to have actually a kind of system that yeah, that checks if your output is correct. Right. So
Mhm.
what else
I,
did we
I
have?
was thinking of I was thinking of this meme of why trying to automate this and take 3 more months to do the stuff. When you have something, this precept of being like over complexizing the scripting and things, and sometimes I believe that, again, depending on the maturity of the company, some companies want to be on the boat of the trending technology and try to jump into a lot of stuff, but they don't have this grounding basis, and you need to like go 10 blocks before that, and work uh, with all the company, try to make this roadmap and plan to have everything set up for going into the new trending topics, or distributed processing, or I don't know, changing. Sometimes I have been working with huge companies, and they still use Pandas data frame, and you say, why? You have plenty of data, and you will take advantage of distributed processing. Spark, they can handle like they can pay for that, they can have a cluster working on 24/7, but they still use Pandas, and you say, why? Why are you doing this? And I mean, that's my point of thinking that AI is not going to change much. It's just another tool, as we say with Arockia. Is we don't have to be afraid of that for now. But I mean, yeah, it's like that.
Why do you like? What's the reason usually that these companies then don't go to Spark? Like, is that the complexity, the manpower they need, or just they
No,
don't have some people that can
they
work with
have
it?
perhaps they have bad experience in the past, because like they weren't following the best practices, or or I know another company say they want airflow, and they say, why? You have a lot of things that are going to be solved with airflow, and you have the budget for that, and they say no, because we have experience in the past. um, they were trying to process everything on airflow, for example, and yeah, the cluster of airflow went down because there was a lot of concurrency and jobs in there, and they say, yeah, it's kind of obvious that if you use the airflow cluster for processing, is going to happen then. um, but it's it depends usually on the people that is in charge of this chapter, or of this place you are working. For example, this section of data that you have in the company, if the people, they are the head or the VP of that section, they have knowledge on tech stack or not. I think it's all about that.
Before we move on, I just there's a good comment. I like this, and this also shows what we were talking about in a DBT meetup, the CEO mentioned that they have been testing AI and MCP servers in house, and they said that it is good enough to troubleshoot a failing pipeline and create pull requests for approval. Right, but this is basically what I was saying also before. That tool is good for DBT. DBT is nice, right? You have your data in your data store. You want to model that, or you want to transform the data. You have your pipeline for the transformation. And if you have a tool that, or an AI agent that goes onto that and that debugs this, or tries to fix problems there, that works. But the data pipeline is larger than that, right? Somewhere the data needs to come in, somehow the data needs to be prepared, it needs to be dropped, and so on and so on. So I think that is, but it's a good comment.
Yeah, and also from the commercial space, people always advertise like this. Every company out there, they are promoting their solution like AI, AI, AI. Yeah. Sometimes AI, yeah, it improves our work. For example, this Copilot, this auto completion feature. Sometimes it helps me a lot when I do coding in the Visual Studio. But the way the companies advertise, or hype their AI, like solutions, it is outrageous in my opinion. So in companies, I don't see, at least over the past 2 or 3 years, I never saw people implementing AI in their teams really faster, or like adopting into their workflows. People are still afraid. But uh, but to be honest, what do you think, Andreas? Because like every, like company, or like every tool provider, they are like putting AI in the front.
It's like you said,
Yeah.
most of this stuff is just, okay, there's the hype right now, and now we need to put AI in front of it. It's like when the same thing where everybody needed to put big data before it, or where they had data science. Everything was data science, right?
Mhm.
It's always the same structure. Right now, it's AI. Then it's coming the AI agents topic. Now every tool has an AI agent and stuff. Like it's a lot of marketing. Yes, they have good solutions here and there, but it's not everything is AI, and
Yeah,
it's marketing, often marketing.
got
We,
it.
we could also, like, we should do this for the academy, AI Academy, AI Engineering Academy. um, distributed system. What is a recommended distributed system instead of pandas? What? Well, pandas is.
Yeah, I think it's all about what I was talking. Pandas, the founder of Pandas says something like, you need 3 times the memory of the dataset to process the
Nice,
dataset in Pandas.
nice.
So it's, whoa,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
People people are telling me a lot about polars. Has
Yes.
anybody,
Yeah,
have you tried polars yet?
yeah. I try to, in this company. I try to like remake these pipelines with polars, and it's good. It's much better, but it still is not even near Spark. So it obviously again depends on the maturity on the company. Perhaps you don't have that much information, and you don't really need the Spark for processing 100 megabytes of data daily. but
True.
but definitely, when you have this huge amount of data, it's good to have distributed processing. Yeah.
Yeah, in one of my previous projects, I did convert Pandas script to Polars. So we initially did a proof of concept. At the time, it got really, the 50% reduced the time consumed.
Mhm.
to do the same task with polars. It is really nice. Yeah, instead of setting up Spark, for example, I work mostly with AWS. Instead of setting up this EMR cluster, yeah, which takes again lot of resources, you need to do lot of setup, as well as it is expensive. So people just use polars or pandas in place, and now there is this thing called DuckDB. You can process everything locally.
Mm.
Yeah, it's much more efficient. So yeah.
Yeah, but DuckDB is more of is a data store again, right? It's
uh,
a basically an embedded data an embedded OLAP store. Yes, you can use it for other tools, but like
yeah, yeah, it is actually useful in real life. In practical use case, I just played around with it. It might be useful for federated queries. For example, you can connect with different databases. So if you have a transactional database, so we had this problem in the past in my jobs a lot of times. So we will be having only one database, something like MySQL or like MariaDB or SQL Server. So when it is hosted in the cloud, something like AWS, so there is actually during these peak times, the database usage sometimes will be always above 80%. You can't run really big analytical queries on those. I'm talking about before data lake and stuff.
yeah,
So in this case, it makes sense to have something like DuckDB, so where you can query from take data from different databases and run the transactions. Of course, it is not going to work for TBs of data in your local machine, but yeah,
Mhm.
in like most realistic use cases, people try to generate reports around GBs of data and so on. So yeah, in those cases, DuckDB might be a nice option. Yeah, other than that, they can always use this polars, pandas. Yeah, Spark, in my opinion, Spark should only be used unless so you have some real use case for big data, where you need some real raw processing power, where you can't process those big data in something like a database or in your local machine. Then
yeah.
we
Or
should go for Spark.
streaming, or
Yeah.
streaming. When you need to do streaming, I think like I always see it like more like Spark is a processing framework, whereas that you can basically use anywhere to transform data to process the data, and stuff like DuckDB that is more um, query centric, right? That you query. So if you have a lot of data that comes in and comes in fast, then most likely Spark is the choice. But as you
Yeah.
said, it's like if you go too early to these kind of tools, you're screwed because it's expensive. That's overhead. Mm,
There's a lot of people asking about roadmaps,
yeah,
and uh, we have that on on the academy. And yeah, just perhaps you can have a look there on the academy, and there is a lot of roadmaps from different starting points.
I can show this one sec.
Okay.
Um, this is not necessarily for this. We also can do this in our coaching program, but I always send people one sec. Especially for self-learning. Like you can go to learndataengineering.com. There you find our coaching program where Arockia and Santiago are working with me, and also you can find the academy. And in the academy here, when you scroll down a bit, here you have the roadmaps for beginners, for data analysts, for scientists, for software developers. And I was working on this a lot early this year, so you can just click there and learn more, and then the whole road, see the roadmap, see everything that is in there. And also you can click into the individual courses that I think are important for these kind of things. So learndataengineering.com. That's the way. Generally, there was one that was asking, like, as an analyst, where should I go? Science or engineering? I know we have a lot of analysts in the program that go to engineering, but ultimately,
It
Yeah,
again depends upon the personal interest. So
yeah.
normally, it is nice to start with Snowflake or DBT, those kind of tools, because nowadays every like analytical teams, they are using those tools. So again, it boils down to the personal interest. If he is good with statistics and like doing data science stuff, then in that direction. Or if he is interested in building pipelines, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can become this now another rebranding of analytics engineering. Uh, but yeah, definitely. I think Arika has a point on that. You need to think about what you enjoy the most, and choose that path.
Yeah.
For example, in my case, I'm not good at math, so I decide not to go with data science, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a point of where do you want to go if you're like or
Uh,
and also what skills do you have, like if you're an analyst and you know SQL, you can work with it and you understand databases, but you have no experience in coding and software development, engineering is difficult. It will take a longer time, right? But if somebody likes it, yes. On the other side, if you're, as you said, if you're more with statistics and more towards, I want to generate great output, great results that I give the business, then most likely and do stuff with AI and machine learning, then most likely the scientist part is the way to go, right? Um, yeah, but that is always a question. Like, where should I go next? And you can't always say this or that. There was one thing. Let's see if I can find it. That was right at the beginning. We went over it before Susan. The one about data lakes, right? Data
Mm.
lakes pretty bad for validity and consistency. Is that something we need to get better at uh, working with as engineers in the future?
uh, I really like this. Sorry, Aroga. You were going to say something?
No, no, no. You just carry on. I will just put my
Uh,
points.
uh, I think that I like this concept of data swamp since the beginnings of data lakes. Everyone says, "Let's put everything in there," and and
True.
and then you say, "I have everything on there, but I can't use it," and then you're doing feature engineering on that, and then you have like duplicated tables, this dimensional modeling above that, and the marketing team is doing something with that data, but another team makes the same table with the same data, but it calls differently.
Mm,
So I believe the problem is not the data lake, is the again the data maturity and the translation of the business value into the data, or try to translate what is the things that you need to answer with data previously, uh, I mean before collecting the data. It's not that, well, let's collect this and have it, perhaps in the future we need to use this. Is I think it's not that way. You need to just sit down, think, uh, have a walk around, talk with everyone in the company, and
yeah.
build something upon that. Yeah.
Yeah. I let Arockia go, and then I want to add my 2 cents.
Yeah, yeah. So, like data lake, to answer that initial question, so data lake are no more in the same condition as it was 3 or 4 years ago, because there are a lot of tools that supports data lake evolved in the past couple of years. For example, in my previous project, it was like year long project. We completely built this transactional data lake, that is this like iceberg based like data lake, where we 100% relied on it for reporting. So like so like once the data lake is up, so we just performed this change data capture on our existing database and then put it in our data lake. So we never noticed we have issues or like replication issues and so on. If we did the same thing 4 or 5 years ago, we would be having some problems. I'm not talking about Kafka and those stuff, but I'm talking about cloud native solutions, something like database migration services and so on. So my point here is, yeah, data lake environment is rapidly like evolving and the supporting tools, and we could also able to implement automated test cases around the data lake. It's no more difficult or different than that of like traditional testing of the data from the databases. So yeah, I don't so nowadays I don't see much issues with validity or consistency of the data lakes. It's all fine to me except with the reduced cost, and like the performance is much better than the traditional databases. Yeah, of course we cannot use transactional data lake as a backend for some application. It completely defeats the purpose of using transactional dbs. But of course for like data warehousing, like kind of analysis or like analytics, data lakes are the way to go in the future. This is what I think.
Yeah, but I mean this depends on good practices, right? A bit like Santiago already said. Like
Mhm.
if you're banking on the data lake, then you need to have good practice on how you put data into the data lake and how you treat that data.
Yeah.
With the transactional stuff, like I'm always a bit unsure. I haven't worked with Iceberg yet. You guys are telling me for some time, Andreas, look into Iceberg, look into Iceberg. We need to have some stuff with Iceberg in the academy. Like, why is this so important? And like, because people are treating it as okay, this is making the data lake transactional and everything. And like, how? What do you think, guys? Think about this?
No, it was something like organic use case for us. So in my case, when I started with the project with the which I mentioned, our relational database is completely like more than 90% of utilization all the time. You can't run analytical queries on that, but the customers need reports. uh, they need kind of not real time report, but they need the reports should be refreshed at least once, or like within 1 or 2 hours. So
Yeah.
we don't have any other option than to immediately kind of enabling the log, the enabling the binary log in the database, and take the transactions to somewhere. You can put it in another database or in a data lake, and again like another database, you need to maintain a database, you need to do some create spend on it. But we are not sure like what up to what capacity we will use the database. So like data lake is kind of pay as you go model. You can really like analyze the actual queries which you are firing against the data lake using Athena. How much data scanned, how much it is going to cost. You can predict everything in advance, and it is like much more flexible. It is kind of like organic decision for us. So we had like Iceberg data lake, or we do with Delta Lake and so on. But with the recent evolution, Iceberg became very much simple for us. We don't need really professionals from outside who come to the company and help us set up Iceberg. No. So we have a lot of documentation. It is easy to start with, and at the end of the day it works. We never lost any data, and also our reporting worked perfectly fine. So costs are also less. So at the end of the day, the company is satisfied, customers are satisfied, then yeah, we are fine with it.
But like, what's the difference of using Iceberg there or not using Iceberg there?
Yeah, it's because in like data lake, we were replicating one to one copy of something like our database. So like it's like after 30 minutes, our like data lake bronze layer will look exactly same like the state of RDS.
Okay.
So like RDS is for transactional purposes, and we can use the data lake for reporting purposes. That's it.
Okay.
By the way, I just did a quick copy paste. You can follow Arockia and Santiago on LinkedIn. I put it in YouTube, in the YouTube description, the links to your profiles. I totally forgot this. So give them a follow, guys. That would be nice. Yeah. Okay,
I
so
was thinking. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry, no, go, Santiago.
I was thinking about like sometimes we jump. I have the lack of or the opportunity to work with these big tech companies. So uh, I was like researching a lot of new stuff on trends on data. But when I was preparing the certification for cloud architect on Google site, I got this quote of like, plan your architecture for 2 years. It doesn't matter, it will change. So
Mm,
uh, sometimes it's kind of frustrating, obviously, because now you say this is the way we have to, or the path that we need to follow right now. We are like pretty sure that this is the path, and 2 years from now, perhaps that is going to be old stuff, and you need to rethink and perhaps rape and replace. So it's it's a lot, and yeah, I mean, you have to take some decisions on that, that works for the moment uh, you are on the time you're working on, and that's it. I don't have any doubts on startups now jumping into the cloud, for example. That is an obvious decision, but then the other stuff is going to change.
mm.
So just solve the problem and go forward.
Yeah, it's true. I think the main thing for a good engineer is that you don't put yourself into a corner, right? That you build the whole thing that you can actually improve it later, and not do some vendor lock-in where you can't replace a tool or where you can't easily migrate to something else. That like these kind of things is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So AI is something we need to look into. What else did we have? We were talking about data lakes, but they're already there.
Yeah, for kind of conclusion, I think that the most important thing is going back to the fundamentals and try to understand the business. Uh, you have to talk. I think that the best thing that we can do to be unreplaceable from AI is to work on soft skills and talk with the people that is in charge of the business, and dig deeper there, make a good research. Don't be afraid to ask. Knock the doors, go into offices and say, hey, I want to understand what is happening under the hood,
Hmm.
and try to kind of translate that into first into pseudocode, and then make these mock-ups with like boxes connecting things, and after that just put names on the tech stack you are willing to use. I believe that that is unreplaceable.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was always when I started the academy, and when I look at how I'm always working, or I always worked, I was never the super expert in this or that, and I always had a broad view of, okay, I want to build something, and I have to build something. That's the most important thing, and I think that is also something that people need to realize, especially for the future. Like, you need to be able to go, as you said, from like, okay, this is the problem, and this is what we want to have, like, build the whole thing, going more full stack, going more in that direction. Sometimes people say with the academy, Andreas, you don't have, like, the courses are not deep enough. We need to have the special knowledge. The special knowledge you can get with the $10 course on Udemy or something, right? They have 6-7 hour courses that can teach you this. But to make you more future proof, you need to understand the whole thing. You need to understand how can you get from, okay, I have the data and I have somebody telling me we want to not just have the transactional systems, but we have problems on the side of analytics, because we can't analyze the data. The database, like Arockia said, the database is always at 90%. What are we going to do? And then you need to try to figure out, okay, what can we do?
Yeah.
I feel like Arockia needs to say a few.
Yeah.
Been cutting you off.
So I was listening to you guys actively. It was it was like very interesting discussion at that. So like my opinion is like for data engineers to stay relevant to the market, I would put like SQL and something like data modeling would be always cornerstone. And of course, like programming will be the key player. The people, data engineers, will be with the programming skills, will be difficult to replace in the immediate future. So programming would be very important. Other than that, of course, Santiago mentioned just open your ears to business. And yeah, I understand the situation is difficult now, but I would emphasis on kind of being consistent in what you are doing. Just if you're building project, just spend like a couple of hours every day on that. A drop every day makes a version. So yeah, you need to keep your consistency and try to attend this networking events, talk to people, and eventually the situation will get better. And you would be a nice data engineer. And of course, AI is not going to take over data engineering. Okay.
Yeah, I see it the same way. Yeah, guys, thanks for being here. We're coming back next week. I think we were saying we're doing this weekly. So, but next time I'm going to send out the email a bit earlier. And thanks for all the awesome questions. There were a lot of people in here. Who's playing music? Santiago already plays music here.
No, it's my alarm clock because
That's your
it's
alarm
7 a.m. Sorry.
Then we're on exactly on time. Again, thanks everybody for being here. See you next week. Arockia, Santiago, stay with me for a sec after I finish the stream, so we can talk a few words, and then yeah. See you.
Okay.
Thanks everybody.